Well, good evening, everybody. Welcome to Go Talk Live. We're back. It's been a while, but man, glad to be here. I'm Eddie Smith, broadcaster, producer for V Speed on the Tuesday night Xfinity series, and the producer for the Friday night Truck series. So glad to bring back Goat Talk, and excited to see what tonight's going to be like. Got the two main guys here, Patrick Drabick, Jamie Barcus in with us tonight. And boy, y'all, I cannot tell you how excited. I'm so excited that I was here an hour earlier. I didn't tell y'all this, but I was here at 7 o'clock ready to go. And I said, wait a minute, it don't start till 8. So I'm pretty pumped up and ready to go. Just to give you an idea what this podcast is going to be, it's just an overview of each week showing, talking about the races. We got 5 series going on in Goat Locker now. Incredible what this community has turned into. So many sponsors. We having to make up new series just to put them somewhere. It's just an awesome place to be for Goat Locker. It's just so cool to be a part of it. But yeah, so this podcast is going to be that. But the most important thing is we're going to talk about some stuff that's going on with the nonprofit. We really want to highlight things that don't get a whole lot of airtime. We talk about the sponsors all the time on the broadcast. We're hitting all of them, and the guys who win the races on the podium, they do a great job. But we want to highlight what's going on with the nonprofit and all those things that are so important. That's what this league is about. And so, who better to have on the first episode than Pat and Jamie, the head guys at Goat Locker? How you doing tonight, Pat and Jamie? How y'all doing?
Man, I'm happy. I'm happy to be here. This is kind of cool. I mean, we've put this thing for months. We've been talking about this and said, "Hey, let's do it now." And then it just didn't work out. And then we're like, "Hey, let's do it now." And then finally, Eddie, you kind of stepped up and said, "Look, guys, we're going to do this now. So just brace yourself, and we're going to take off." And man, this is awesome. Awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. Great to be here on Labor Day, kicking this thing off. So appreciate you, Eddie, taking the reins with this and just kind of telling us that, yeah, we're going to do this right now. So like Pat said, we've wanted to do it. We've talked about it so much, and it just never seemed to work out, but no better time than to do it right now. So glad to be here.
Absolutely. Hey, there ain't nothing but to do it. That's what I always say. Well, if you're in chat, if you're live with us, hey, be active in chat. We want to hear from y'all. If you got any questions, you got anything that you want to ask these guys or ask us, anything about Goat Locker, you got something funny you want to say, go ahead and just be active in chat. We want y'all to communicate. We love what your family members and groups do in the chats during the races. That's such a big part of broadcasting and having those videos and going back and watching it, seeing the live chat, seeing everybody in chat being a part of it. The viewers are so much as a part of the broadcast as the broadcasters, the announcers, producers, and even the drivers. So it's so important that you guys are out there, and we do a lot of this stuff. The broadcast, this right here is just for you guys.
Mhm.
If you're not in the league and racing, and you're watching because you got friends, family, it's so cool to have y'all a part of it. It makes a difference. It's so awesome when you have your friends and family who support it. So glad to have all those people in chat. If you got questions, like I said, hit us up. But let's go ahead and jump right into it. First week of the season is done, but we're going to start off the top. We want to know what's going on with the nonprofit right now. The most important part, the reason why Goat Locker exists, and either one of you can take this off, headed down the road. We've had a lot of things in the past. We want to cover some things we haven't talked about, like the car show, the giving away of the simulator, all those things that kind of been mentioned. But man, just hit us with something. You can kind of start wherever you want to start.
Yeah, and like we were saying before, we could talk about all the things happening with Goat Locker racing and be here till the wee hours of the morning. And me and Jamie talk about this all the time. I mean, it's every day it's something new. It's something unbelievable. I mean, I think me and Jamie text like teenage girls. We're always going back and forth with each other. There's just so many things going on and trying to keep up with everything and all that other kind of crazy stuff, man. But yeah, I mean, Eddie, I think you kind of hit the nail on the head a little bit. I think some people do get a little bit lost. We're not just an iRacing, league. That's probably we're the furthest thing from that. I think that's what a lot of people see and get engaged with, and we absolutely love it. It is a tool that we utilize as a part of our mission, but the mission continues to grow and grow and grow. And right now, I think the biggest thing, Jamie, on our plate right now is we're heading to Bristol here in a couple weeks.
Absolutely. Heading to that night race. I know it'll be the first time for me. Pretty sure it's first time for you too. We've been to Bristol a couple times
Mhm.
during the March race, spring race. So I'm super excited to not only be there for the night race, but super excited for this deal that we've been given
Yeah.
by a member of the NBC camera crew that's basically given us backstage passes to the big show. So super excited for that. We're going to have complete access to the infield, to the garage, to whatever basically we want, I think. Um, I don't know. Maybe we can talk some smack to Denny Hamlin's crew and stuff, or maybe punch some hole in some tires or something. I shouldn't say that out loud in case we make it happen. But anyways, we're gonna have all kinds of access to stuff, and I can't wait.
Well, hey, let me cut in real quick because I did do a little bit of homework before this, and I watched the Above the Yellow Line podcast from about 7 months ago, just to kind of, I don't know, learn from the best. I guess I've never done a podcast before, so I wanted to jump in, see what the best are doing, and y'all talked about Bristol being one of those that you haven't really cut off, you checked off your bucket list. Y'all have gone to multiple different places. Y'all said Talladega, which I would love to be the host for you for Talladega, but Bristol was one of those y'all kind of talked about y'all wanted to go to. So it's really cool to see that you kind of actualized something like that you really wanted to do. So how did that all come down? Are you willing to give some of that detail or just kind of talk about how that happened?
Yeah, absolutely. And that's one of the most amazing things that has happened is as Goat Locker Racing continues to grow, we just continue to get more and more people that really understand what we're doing, want to join forces with us, want to donate, want to do all kinds of things for us, which is just, I mean, incredibly humbling at the end of the day. To take what me and Jamie had in our brain a few years ago and to see where it's at today is just absolutely amazing. But the whole deal with the Bristol night race and everything really was born from when we started working with Nasty's Restaurant and Bar over in Hilliard, Ohio. So we got involved with them because one of our great partners, Cruising Classics, is over there. The two owners are friends with each other, and they said, "Hey, you really, Cruising Classics was like, hey, you really need to see what Goat Locker Racing's doing." And they said, "Wow, this is awesome. We want to get involved." And so, if you remember, Eddie, we did a couple of charity races and broadcast them live there at the restaurant. Man, it really took off from that point. A couple of the patrons really started. They're like, "Wow, this is amazing what they're doing." And then one of them was like, "Hey, I work for the network, and I'm able to give away 4 VIP passes, and I want Goat Locker Racing to have them." And so they gave us these 4 VIP passes, and they said, "Hey, choose whatever race you want to go to." And me and Jamie were just beside ourselves. We're like, "This can't be real. Like, this literally cannot be real." You know, we get to pick the race, and it's this backstage pass and backstage like we're going to a concert. Pit passes at
It
VIP.
kind of is at Bristol. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so and it just kind of, and it went from there forward, and they said you can do whatever you want with these. And so we went back and forth a couple different times. We're like, "Hey, do we do something like a blind auction type thing with them to try to raise some more money? Do we, raffle?" We went back and forth a couple different ways, and then we finally settled on the fact that it would be better utilized by the nonprofit itself, and then that myself and Jamie are going to go. Two people from Goat Locker Racing, proper, are going to go so we can network some more, help spread the news about what we're doing, hopefully, gain some new partners out of it. And then we're going to take the other two and we're going to give them to, those within Goat Locker Racing that are doing a lot, those that truly deserve them. And so we went back and forth a little bit on that one as well. So we selected Jake Ellingson for everything that Jake does for us. I mean, Goat Locker Racing does not do as well as it does without Jake Ellingson, and really the Ellingson family as a
Yep.
whole. So Jake was a no-brainer, and then Mike George. Mike George won the Summer Series championship in ARCA over the summer. He's a veteran. We wanted to take a veteran along with us. So it really just came out of, and this is what keeps happening to us day in and day out. Somebody says something to somebody else about Goat Locker Racing, and the next thing you know, me and Jamie are on a call, or I'm in a meeting somewhere, and I'm calling Jamie right afterward. I'm like, "Dude, you are not gonna believe
Yeah.
this." And then Jamie's like, "Dude, now what, man?"
Yeah, it's gotten to the point that I really just kind of respond with some smart ass freaking answer when he's like, "Hey, guess what news I got now?" And I'm like, "I don't know," and I'll throw something stupid out there because I know it's going to be something that's going to be mind blowing, and it always is. But it is really becoming almost an everyday occurrence at this point.
Well, what's really been cool to me to see from sort of an outsider's perspective, um, is the growth, and it took a while to get here. I mean, if you and I
Absolutely.
imagine a lot of blood, sweat, tears, frustration, maybe sleepless nights, just irritation, just being so trying to realize a dream that you had. And it took a while to kind of get that kind of stuff going. It doesn't happen overnight. It takes a lot of work. And I don't think that a lot of that is seen because you guys don't flaunt it. I mean, you guys tell us about things that go on behind the scenes, but people don't really realize what it takes to do something like this. And y'all have put so much work. But how cool was it for all that to kind of come to a head and realization when you gave out that first cockpit, the first computer, the first little simulation setup with all the partners that you had to work, you had to fight for every single one of those meetings after meetings, trying to tell people what you're about, people coming on board to be a part of it, all the things, and to finally be able to hand that over to a vet. What was that like? What was that feeling like? And I know you don't want to toot your own horn, but please, this is Goat Talk, and you guys are Goat Locker. So let's go ahead and let people know what's going on. What's that like whenever you're able to give that guy that cockpit?
Well, I mean, well, that's a tough one to really explain because there is, like you said, Eddie, there's just so much that goes into it. And you're right, it didn't happen overnight. There is a ton of blood, sweat, and tears, and a ton of money as well that has gone into making this thing happen. And Goat Locker Racing, we have the three pillars of what we do. We have the online racing community. At this point in time, it's approaching 400 members in our Discord. And that continues to grow. The second thing that we're talking about right now that we do are the simulators for veterans. And to actually realize that, to put the whole thing together, and then it was a surreal experience to actually, Warren was our first one, and to be there and tell him that he was the recipient of it, and to actually give it to him, and then see him become more involved with Goat Locker Racing, and kind of, and it's no secret he drives one of the semis for Arrow McLaren. He drives the number 6, which I think is Nolan Siegel right now. He drives the 6 hauler around for Arrow McLaren. And to see some of the guys that actually go to these races and like, hey, hook me up with Warren. So Warren's getting to meet people live and in person. More people are getting involved with IndyCar. But yeah, it's just, every once in a while, me and Jamie just kind of pause, man. And we're like, it's unreal. It's surreal, man. To be able to do that, if we think back, 2 years ago, when we were scrapping for sponsorship and all this other stuff, and we were super excited if we got $100, or if we got a broadcasting gig to where we can earn $100 to
Yep.
keep this thing floating. And now we're getting $50,000 plus grants. To go from that, from those days to today, it is incredibly hard to explain. But when we put these simulators in these veterans' hands and we watch them become a part of the family, it's I'm a retired senior chief. Jamie's a chief. It feels like those days again, that you're helping somebody out. You're helping somebody that really deserves it, that served their country, and now we get to do something more for them. So I don't know, Jamie. For me, it's hard to put into words.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just thinking back. You just hit it right there on the head when you're talking about. We were broadcasting for other leagues just to make money to keep this thing going, where we didn't have to, charge people. We've never charged for anything here, with the exception of the Truck Series. And quite honestly, the only reason we charge for the Truck Series is to try to, to put people to have skin in the game, right? Because what happens with every series, inevitably, once they're no longer in championship contention, they start showing up. So we figure, well, maybe if we, make them put something into it, that won't happen. So that's really the only reason we even charge for that one. But me and Pat, hell, when we first started this thing, we were announcing we weren't even racing here. It was our league, and and we weren't even racing because we were doing everything we could to make this thing go and bring people in and give them what our idea was. A place to come race. Everybody wants to be on broadcast, so so their mom can see them and stuff. And I say that jokingly, but honestly, you see in the chats, we've got a lot of family members that come on here to watch people race. I mean, Ryan Pendleton's talked about how his mom and dad watch the races so that they can, watch him still race. He used to race, as a kid growing up, and now he's got a career and stuff. That doesn't happen anymore, but they get to still watch him do what he enjoys doing. So, uh, and the other night during, I hate to keep going on and on, but the other night during the next gen race, I stopped. We had 41 dudes take the field in that next gen race. I remember when we couldn't get 12 people for the next gen series.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
we would
well,
have 10 to 12. You know,
Well, it's a testament to you guys sticking with it. A lot of guys will get in something, if it doesn't go your way, you just give up or move on. But that's a testament to how Goat Locker is more than a racing league. It's more than that. So you guys stuck to your guns, and now the community, people want to be a part of it. They want to be a part of maybe I'm not handing out the cockpit, maybe, but at least I get to race with the guy. I get to spend time, get to
right?
learn about him, meet him, see what's going on, invite him into the community, be a community that people want to be a part of, and y'all have fostered that through just really awesome racing and stuff like that. So, I mean, it can't be overstated how awesome this whole thing is, what this has turned into. It's blown my mind, just how far you guys have come. Not in a bad way. It's just a you just never know what's possible on a simulation like iRacing, what people can do, and with the right people on the trail, you can make anything happen. So, huge props to y'all as always. I always try to give you your flowers because you deserve it. And in these moments, it's awesome. You got 5 series breaking
Yeah,
off this week. How cool is that to have so many sponsors? We're not going to jump into the races just yet.
Yeah,
I
yeah,
want to continue going down this, but
yep.
we talked the other night, you had so many sponsors that hey, we need another series. We've got so
Mhm.
many drivers who want to be a part of it. We've got enough, and guess what? The Sunday night series had almost 40 drivers in it for
Mhm.
a new sponsor that comes in. And so, talk a little bit about InVets and how that came about, and how we ended up with a Sunday night truck series.
Yeah, that's one of the things that Jamie kind of chews my butt about all the time. He's like, "Man, there's too many sponsors. I can't fit them on the car anymore." And I'm like, I guess I can stop talking to people if you want me to, type deal. But we've always talked about everything with me and Jamie is about bandwidth, and how much can we take on, what's the right amount to take on, and those types of things. And then at the end of the day, I mean, we both kind of get strung out pretty far, at any point in time. So a lot of pieces had to come together for Sunday to come together. We've always wanted to put together a weekend league, for our West Coast people, all those types of things, for more people to be able to participate. So yeah, coming into the fall series, as I'm out there, chatting with a lot of different people and a lot of different sponsors and all that stuff, InVets really came on board for the summer series. And I have worked with InVets ever since I retired from the Navy in 2017. I actually started working with them in 2016. And their whole goal, they're a veteran nonprofit based here in Indiana. And their whole goal is to find great employment for people that want to relocate back here to Indiana. And also to show them the benefits of why you should come work and live in Indiana. And so when I was retiring back home, I kind of got connected to them and they helped me out a lot. And I've just worked with them over the years. I've got to know the whole team over there. And then, at the right before the summer series was getting ready to kick off, I had a meeting with them and I was talking to them about Goat Locker, and they're like, "Hey, we really want to come on board. We've heard a lot about what you're doing." We're like, "Awesome." So they came on board for the summer series as like an experiment to see, is this something that they should be doing? And the summer series was absolutely a success. They loved it. I had a meeting with them a few weeks ago at this point in time. They're absolutely just in love with what we're doing. They love the exposure. They love what we're doing for Hoosier veterans and veterans across the Midwest. And they said, "Hey, we want back." And I was like, "Oh, okay. I'm gonna have to figure this one out here a little bit because all our series had sponsorship already. They had their sponsors and all that other stuff, and then so we had some great people step up as well with inside Goat Locker to take over the Sunday series because most me and Jamie's like we can't do it. We're spread too thin right now. So Mike George and Dan Krakeel, stepped up to the plate and said, "Hey, we'll run this series." And I said, "Great, I've got the sponsorship. Let's roll." And it's again, it's another one of these little things that happen. And there's so many of the little things that happen, and some really big things happen too, that you kind of lose stock of it. But the response that we've gotten back, and this is for me, and I know for Jamie as well, which lets us know we're doing the right thing and really makes this all worthwhile, is when we get the messages back. Like, there were a couple guys that had just been waiting on us to do this, waiting because they're on the West Coast or something along those lines. They've just been waiting on a reason to be able to participate with Goat Locker Racing. And I know I've gotten some messages from guys. They're like, "Man, this is awesome. When are you going to put one on Saturday?" And I'm like, Hold on, man. hang on, man. I mean, we just got Sunday kicked off. Let's calm down here a little bit. But again, that's another one of those things that we were just talking about that lets you know that you're doing the right things, that lets you know that you're building it the right way, is when people want to be a part of it that bad. And they can't wait for the next thing that you're getting ready to do so they can be a part of that. So I don't know, Eddie, at some point in time, we're probably going to be racing, I don't know, 7 days a week and 3 races a night. I have no idea where this thing's going to go. But like I said, for me, it's been pretty awesome. And I know, Jamie, I mean, kind of the same thing with you.
Yeah. I mean, we will do as much as people want, I guess. If we run 7 days a week, we run 7 days a week. It's going to mean more people would have to step up and take those new series on. Pat has his hands full all day long. I'm taking care of the next gen and the truck series on Friday night. We got Jake and Dan kind of take care of ARCA. And then I don't even know who's taking care of Tuesday. I guess it's Jake and Dan doing that one as well. And then it's kind of Mike and Dan taking care of Sunday. So,
Yeah.
I mean, it's things are already spread pretty thin. But if there's somebody that wants to come on board and say, "Hey, we want to sponsor a series at Goat Locker Racing, and we want to do Saturday nights," well, I guess we'll be doing Saturday nights. So,
or a podcast on Monday nights. That
or a
sounds pretty good.
podcast on Monday night. Yeah,
Right.
Hey, you're doing all the work for this. All you said we had to do was show up. So
Yeah.
well,
reach out to me then to see if we can get some sponsors. No, I'm just kidding. No, yeah. Well, not to kind of just skim over this, but Mike, Daniel, Jake, those who step up to the plate, and Ryan has done it in the past with the IndyCar series, and other folks have stepped up to the plate. That's what you need in a place like this. You need folks to step up. People always are going to complain, have ideas. This is the way you should do it. This is the way it should have been done. Shouldn't have been done that way. My message to those folks is, hey, step up to the plate. Run the show. If you run the show, you get to make all the rules. You get to make the decisions, and hey, that's part of it. So it's really cool to see those guys step up and kind of talk a little bit about that. I mean, I want to hear about those conversations where somebody's like, hey, I want to be a part of something, and they step up to the plate like Daniel Castillo and Mike George.
Yeah, that's always oh, go ahead, Jamie.
I'm gonna jump in on that one because I'm gonna tell you, for me personally, I feel, and I don't want to criticize people that have been around here for a long time, because we've had people that really, they kind of put their boat in with us, so to speak. Cody and Alex Cruz and Joe Yakes came over to us back when Scott Rankin. They came over with us when we were nothing, right? So a lot of people have been like that, and I don't want to criticize those that have been here, but I feel like it's been a long time coming for people like Daniel and what Mike George has done here lately, where they've jumped in and said, "I want to help," right? Because honestly, we haven't had a whole lot of that. We haven't had a whole lot of people saying, "Hey, I want to take something on here. I want to help you guys do something," or whatever. And they've been here to race. They've supported us. They've supported the fundraising stuff. They've done all that stuff, but really hasn't been anybody stepping up until now to actually take part and take some ownership in what's going on here as far as running this league. So I'm super impressed with Mike and Daniel stepping up to do that. Jake's always kind of, been that guy that's done a lot for us. Whether people even realize he was doing it or not, Jake's just done a lot, right? So, but it's nice to see that if there's more stepping up and more welcome. We don't want anybody to feel like that they can't, that there's some reason why, oh, well, I'm not good enough. That's not the case. If you want to be involved with us, with leadership around here, just raise your hand.
Yeah,
We'll
please.
we'll figure something out.
It's
Take
cool.
more off my plate.
Yeah, exactly. Well, it's cool to see that Mike and
Mhm.
Daniel decided to do that. I mean, it's props to them for stepping up to the plate. Props to Ellingson, Jacob, for doing all the stuff that he does, kind of behind the scenes, sort of the sometimes the arms and the legs of you
Mhm.
guys while you guys are on vacation. Take a break. I mean, you have to walk away every once in a while, and
What? What is that?
you got to turn off
There-
the phone sometimes, and Jake's always
Mm,
been there to
yeah.
kind of pick up the slack, and so can't really say much more. I'm somewhat on my words, but you know what I mean. Jake
Yeah.
deserves a lot of credit for what he does
Oh.
behind the scenes. But well, I mean, so talk about. I want to talk some more about that car show. I want to hear some
Mhm.
more about that. We don't
Mhm.
have any pictures to show. One of these days, I'll incorporate stuff like that. But I want to hear some about that. How did that go? What was that like? Did y'all have a great time? Was it nerve wracking? Were you anxious? What were the kind of the feelings going into something that was sort of new, wasn't it?
Oh yeah, that was way new. Um, that was the first time we ever did an in-person event, and yeah, it was incredibly nerve-wracking. You know, so much went into that. I mean, that was, when you talk about things coming to a culmination, and everybody talks about, what we're doing at Go Locker Racing, and we're racing 5 nights a week now, and all these different sponsors and all these things. We had never ever done a live in-person event where we were set up, we met people, and so yeah, that was incredibly nerve-wracking because we said, well, if we're going to do this, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to have our mobile simulator there. We're going to have our stock car there, and we're going to do a simulator race giveaway. Oh, by the way, and oh, by the way, we never really had put a setup together. So we had to order tents, we had to order tablecloths, we had to order materials. So we've got Jam Printing and Promotions. Just she's running around like crazy because we needed all this stuff, and of course
Shout her
everybody
out.
needed. Oh gosh, and everybody needed polo shirts, and it was so nerve wracking getting all that stuff together, and then you load up that morning. I think we loaded up the car the night before, didn't we, Jamie? Or did we load the car the morning
No,
of?
everything was loaded the night before.
Yeah, so we loaded
We
up the
had
trailer.
everything. Yep.
Yeah, yeah, so we loaded up the trailer the night before. Got on the road that morning. Luckily, Lincoln Tech was 35 minutes from my house, so no real big deal. But yet, I, again, Eddie, I mean, that's one of those moments, and I know there were a few times during the day that I know me and Jamie, just kind of looked at each other. I know I kind of shoulder checked him a couple times, like this is unreal, man. Like, like we're here. Like, there's our simulator over there that people are sitting on, and all this other stuff. There's our stock car sitting over there, and oh, by the way, this killer looking 10 by 10 tent. And then the radio station shows up and they want to
Yep.
interview us. Um, dude, it was wild. I mean, I can't. I keep saying it, man. It's hard to put some of the stuff into words, but it truly is, man. Like, you to be there and experience that, and then to see the public come over and just be like, "This is awesome," and then the radio station come over and interview us, and then we get to do a giveaway at the same time, and we get to show the entire public what we're doing. And then my favorite part of the day came when we had to load up and leave because I had a giant empty parking lot and a race car. So I had a little bit of fun getting that car back on the trailer.
Oh man, I love it. Well, let's talk about some other things. I don't want to spoil anything you don't want to talk about just yet, but talk about some other things that are going on out there that we haven't mentioned already. Gosh, you were on an ARCA car. You haven't even mentioned that yet. Talk about that. What happened? Brayton Laster, I believe is his
Yeah.
name. You're on the ARCA car. Go Locker Racing on that car. Talk about that.
Yeah, the pizza man. Man, Brayton has done such a great job with the limited resources that are available to that young man. Last night he finished 13th there at DuQuoin on the dirt. Um, and you people may look at that and be like, "Hey, he finished 13th." Let me tell you what, that kid finished 13th, and some, not to criticize the ownership, the team that he's driving for, but that's some subpar equipment. Okay, he was having to run that race with a backup motor, the only motor they had left. So obviously he's got to take care of that for them. They're not running on new tires. They're running on probably, who knows, a year old's worth of race on those tires that they're running on. And that kid takes care of that car and gets to the end to finish 13th. Oh, by the way, on national TV. And then, oh, by the way, at the track, the car is being announced as number 31 Goat Locker Racing Chevrolet. Now I missed the beginning of the broadcast, so I don't know if it was put that way on the broadcast or not. But
it was.
so there you go. So there we are, national TV. Goat Locker Racing was on national TV.
Yeah. And see, that's the cool stuff we don't talk enough about. That's why I want to do this podcast. I want to do more and more of this because I love that, because you guys are you guys are humble. I mean, you guys love talking about your stuff, but you're not tooting your own horn. And man, I hate that. I don't want, and for lack of better words, I don't want to toot your own horn. You know what I'm saying? I want y'all to give y'all an opportunity to do that. So,
Oh,
Well, you ain't
I
gonna
mean,
get it out of either one of us. So good
I
luck.
mean, Eddie, I tell everybody to listen that we're a really big deal. I mean,
yeah, true.
at some point, people are going to start either believing it or actually listening. We're a pretty big deal.
Yeah, I just don't toot other fellows' horns normally. But man, I tell you, it's so cool to see that. And Brayton Laster actually does some announcing for McConey Entertainment, which y'all
Yep.
just kind of started partnering with this season. I mean, with more races, more series comes a lot of broadcasting needs.
Yep.
And how about that, McConey, who now has grown to be one of the, obviously when it comes to the setup shops on the oval side for sure. McConey's usually the first name that comes out of your mouth and people hear about. Jeff McConey has done a lot of work. He has put a lot of effort in. I've worked for him. Done a lot of effort in the broadcasting side of iRacing to not only broadcast him and his friends. He does a broadcast on Fast Fridays for his little group, but he broadcasts and brings all these people in. Brayton Laster, one of those announcers. So really cool to see y'all just kind of. Yes, and we've had discussions before. You'd love to have all the broadcasts in one space, and I totally get that. But time, manpower, all that stuff kind of gets in the way. Broadcasting on iRacing is probably not what it seems. You watch a broadcast, you go, "Wow, it's amazing." I'm telling you what, it's skeleton crews out there. A lot of us have
Oh
to
yeah.
work together. We work within each other, so it is definitely tough to try to do everything. But I think, man, it's been really awesome for you guys to spread out into multiple. The silver lining is that you've been able to get Goat Locker on different channels that have high subscriber counts. I mean, V-Speed has 1.3K. I think Podium had a certain, a little bit, twice as much as that. Being able to get out there, be able to get that brand out there. So you've got multiple partners now with McConey, V-Speed, and Nazareth 360. So really cool to see folks like Brayton Laster. All that interconnectivity is just the networking, the work that y'all have done, man. It's just incredible how good at networking you guys have turned into to be able to get all these partners. But uh, well, I'm getting ready to talk about some racing, but I wanted to give y'all an opportunity. Y'all have anything else y'all want to mention? Y'all want to talk about maybe something to look forward to in the future with the nonprofit? What's going on out there that we don't know about yet?
Well, that's a lot. Again, we could sit here and talk for
Give us
30
one little nugget. How about that?
Well, we talked about the Bristol race coming up, and that's going to be pretty awesome. We talked a lot about Brayton Laster, and again, the same thing that Jamie said. Man, that kid's amazing. He's here in Indianapolis. I've met with him a couple different times. I still got to get over to the race shop and shake hands with the whole family and all that stuff. What that kid does behind the wheel, he understands the assignment week in and week out. And he takes care of the cars and he gets decent finishes. The things that we're doing with Jeff McConey as well is pretty awesome. So I'm going to
Yeah.
get the date wrong.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I'll let
I'm going to get the
Come
date
on there.
wrong here.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I think it's October 14th is the Winchester 400 here in Winchester, Indiana. It is a cars tour or something else. Whatever. It's late model stocks and all that kind of stuff. It's a pretty big deal. The Winchester 400 is a pretty big deal here in Indiana. And not only are we going to be on the side of Brayton Laster's car again, Jeff McConey is actually racing in that race. And we are on his car as well. And
Wow.
so Go Locker Racing will be there, full setup. We'll have the simulator there, the trailer there, smaller trailer this time. I don't think we're going to take the stock car out there with us. And we are actually one of the primary sponsors for Jeff McConey. for his first time behind the wheel of a late model stock. So we'll see what he does. Hopefully he doesn't wad the thing up. You never know. If he does, I've been promised some sheet metal off the side of it because we're going to cut those quarter panels off this time, and they're coming back to us. That's a big thing that we got brewing right now, man. We're gonna be at the Winchester 400 with Jeff McCody and Brayton Laster and a big sponsorship thing. And oh, by the way, we're gonna take our simulator out there and do a full setup as well.
Wow. Wow. Hey, I'm glad I asked. That was awesome. Well, it's cool. If you wanted to hear Jeff McConaughey's voice, you can actually listen to the Sunday night broadcast in Vet's Truck Series. He was the lead announcer.
Yep.
Jeff McConaughey's multi. I mean, he's got a lot he can do really well. We'll see how good he is at a late model stock. Well, let's move into some racing. All right, let's jump into the new series. We've already talked about. We got 5 series, and we've got all the sponsors are laid out on each series. You've got Hidden Wit Brewery for the Xfinity Series. You've got Cruising Classics with that Wednesday Night Cup Series. I mean, just now it's a legendary type. It's almost kind of like just a legendary type sponsor in Goat Locker. Just the way that it continues to be at that next gen. Then you've got Vet for Life Foundation on the Thursday ARCA Series, and then Friday is the Vet for Life Racing, and then you got InVets for the Sunday. So those are your sponsors lined up for this season. And then week 1, every single series, all 5 of them at Talladega Super Speedway. Now, why?
Well, I mean, we've always kind of opened up at Daytona, right? I mean, what kind of stock car season starts anywhere other than Daytona? Well, we've had a lot of issues in the past with racing at Daytona, so we figured, okay, we'll take the plate racing and we'll do it at Dega, where it's a little bit wider, a little bit more room, and hopefully it'll provide some better racing.
Well,
It,
it
it
provide
didn't.
racing. It did. It did. Now, better
It did.
racing is that's subjective a little bit, but it still was awesome to get back on track. The summer series was great, but something about that fall series that just you love to have and get back into it. Well, a couple things that I wanted to talk about before we get into each individual series, and we'll keep each series sort of short, but we'll talk a little bit about it. Big story in my mind is Mike George, who we just talked about, had every single pole at Talladega. This in every single race, all 5 he was on. He even put a bounty out. I think it was $20 if anybody could beat him, and nobody could. So pretty crazy. I mean, at the end of the day, sitting on the pole 5 times, no matter what, that's pretty stout. So what y'all think about that?
I mean, I don't know how he was doing it. Obviously I'm going to ask, and try to get some pointers. I don't know how he did it, man. iRacing's got their little tricks and things along those lines. I mean, just like anything else. I mean, it's just like real life racing too. You're going to find the little things that make you better, or maybe not put as much fuel in the thing, or in real life racing you can't do that in iRacing. So iRacing's got its tricks, and he's definitely been able to figure it out. So I mean, yeah, I mean, it was kind of amazing, because I think it was the first race on Tuesday. It was always a big feat to me if I could beat Jamie at, qualifying on plate tracks, because Jamie was always so good at it. And then he didn't do so well, and I didn't do so well.
Yeah.
And then we look up, and Mike George is up there, and he's got the field covered. I mean, it's not like he's 100th of a second better or whatever. I mean, he had it covered, and we're like, what the heck is going on here? And then bam, he does it on Wednesday, and then he took Thursday, and then Friday. You're like, I don't know, man. I mean, it's amazing. I mean, to be able to do that, at all 5 races, to hit it that perfectly. I mean, kudos to him. I can't do it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I thought that was at least worth the mention. Go ahead, Jamie.
Yeah, I know. I mean, that was impressive to do it 5 times, to take 5 polls in a week. That was impressive. But now we're done with the plate racing. The gimmicky stuff's out the window. Whatever that gimmicky stuff is, it's out the window. Let's see what you can do now. If you can do 5 polls in a week when we're at regular track. So,
Right. Well, let's
we'll
talk
see.
a little. Let's talk a little bit about that. So Tuesday, the Xfinity Series, the Hidden Wit Brewery, really cool sponsor. I like this sponsor a lot because I like to say the word beer in a read. It's really cool, and I think it's cool to kind of see the different sponsors you guys bring in. So, I mean, tell me real quick. We don't have to spend too long, but talk a little bit about Hidden Wit, y'all's relationship with them, how that came about, and how they became the sponsor of the Tuesday series.
Yep, that's gonna be another one of those. Somebody else was talking to somebody else, and then they said, "Let me check out this whole Go Locker Racing thing." They go check it out, and they're like, "Yeah, we want to be a part of it," type thing. Really, Hidden Wit kind of came from Veterans for Life Foundation and Jamie Perkins, and and some other things that were going on, and then he connected us to Hidden Wit, and Hidden Wit is majority veteran owned. Um, and they just really fell in love with what we were doing. They saw some potential to be able to do like Nasties did, to be able to broadcast some of the races in their establishment as well. And they're like, this is just really, really cool. And so that thing, it just, again, it's another one of those things that just took off. And it's really cool to bring in new sponsorship. We love having all our old sponsors as well. You probably saw this season, Eddie. We tried to mix some things up, bring some new ones in, keep some of our older ones around. Jam Printing and Promotion stayed on board. They are they are the
Whole
whole
award.
award sponsor for all series across everything that we're doing in racing. But yeah, I'm with you, Eddie. Anytime we can bring in a brewery,
That's cool. Yeah,
yeah, let's do it.
as long as they got domestic draft, none of this IPA stuff. But let's talk about the race just a little bit.
100%.
You guys in the race. Y'all both had some tough races. That race was fun, but the track was super hot. We saw that a couple times this week. The tracks were, I think, in this race was about 126 degrees. By the way, broadcasting on VSpeed. Always glad to be a part of this one. But that race, 60 laps, had 6 cautions for 18 caution laps and 14 lead changes. Y'all were out there. Tell me what the racing was like. I watched it, but you guys felt it. What was it like in that race? Do y'all remember anything just crazy about that race other than the last lap?
Mm, mm. Yeah, the last lap. You know, coming on the outside to go move into the middle lane, it was open, and the guy that won it threw a block, I guess. That's the way to say it. And basically ended up taking everybody out from that. It was actually a combination between Chris and Tanner. Tanner owned up to his mistake, and he messaged me after apologizing. So I appreciate that. But the racing, I don't know. I would have liked to have seen a little more patience all week. We preached about that stuff uh, before the racing ever started. Talking about remember what we're out here for. Remember what's most important. And I'll say it. I've said it since we started this league. If winning is all that matters to you, this is not the place for you,
Mm-mm.
right? If that winning cannot be the most important thing here at Goat Locker Racing. Putting on a good race has to be the most important thing, right? So when I see guys making just really super aggressive moves when we're not even 20 laps into a 60 lap race and the big lane changes I was seeing, stuff like that, I don't know that the message is getting across. So hopefully it's just a product of plate racing and things will calm back down now that we're past that this week. So, but
Yeah, well, and you had a lot of new guys too, and that's always tough in a league is to bring in some folks, and it's broadcasting, and that it's always kind of there's two type of people I feel like in those type of scenarios. You'll have a guy that wants to ride in the back and just be nice and build up that respect, and then there's a guy who wants to go out there and earn it on the track right away. He said, "I want y'all to know how good I am. I want the broadcast to say my name a bunch of times." And then they don't, it takes a while for everybody to kind of get used to each other. And by plate race, you you don't have a whole lot of time to get used to them because you'll be pushing their bumper. So you don't really know who can take a push, who can't take a push. It takes a little bit to get used to it. And I thought that's the way the Tuesday night series went. It was relatively clean. It seemed like the cars drove okay, but there was a couple self spins, which is pretty rare at Talladega. So talk to me about the handling of that car. Did y'all feel it being kind of loose out there, or did it drive pretty well?
I think it was something we ran into all week. I mean, the hot track temperatures would kind of plagued each one of the races. In the Tuesday night thing, and we kind of noticed it when we were in practice.
yeah,
You get about 3 or 4 laps in, and if you were, it was just a kind of a weird sensation going into 3. It's like the car just got light. And it just wasn't in the track anymore. It's like it got on top of the track, and and I was like, man, this is going to be a problem during the race. I mean, like you said, Eddie. I mean, you don't often see self spins, and we saw some this week, and I think it was a product of the hot track, and iRacing is always doing, I would say, a great job of doing updates and things along those lines. And I think the aero packages got updated, and I think for some guys it was the first time they've seen some of these aero packages, and so yeah, we ran into some issues and all that other kind of fun stuff. But yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, it was a pretty dang good race.
Yeah, and
it
there
was,
at the
yeah.
end, I mean, it was that of course, Jamie unfortunately was right in the middle of that wreck, but to come off and see Chris Sawyer kind of just take off and be all by himself. Tanner Bethea had a big run. He was the only guy really in shot of the race lead, and they kind of battled it out, just the two of them, to come down the
Mhm.
start finish line. So congratulations to Chris Sawyer. I thought that was a relatively great way to start off a first week of all Talladega. So that was really, really awesome. So congratulations to Chris Sawyer for that.
Mhm.
But the next gen, I got to say, what a finish the next gen was. Now, both of y'all were in that race as well. A few more cautions, but the next gen's a different beast when it comes to drafting. It doesn't quite draft like any other car we got out there. It's got the side draft on both sides. You can kind of just yoink somebody back. It doesn't really get huge runs. You can lose the draft quick easily if you're not careful. But once you get within that 3 to 4 tenth bubble, it's just like all of a sudden you're Superman. So, what was that race like? Because I went back and watched it, and it was very exciting. Three wide, the car's a lot more stable, and it seemed like guys were really able to put a whole lot of effort into making runs and being aggressive. So, what was it like out there for y'all? How did y'all's race go on Wednesday night?
You got to stop laughing, Jamie.
Uh,
It wasn't a good week for Goat Locker Racing as a
no,
team.
not at
It
all.
really was not. We struggled each race we were in, and really, me and Jamie, we run Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And we struggled all week long trying to get connected, as a team, and we never really could in any of these races kind of get together. So we were all kind of, out there on our own trying to battle through, some different things, and so as a team, it was not a good week for us. But yeah, I mean, it was another plate race, a couple more cautions, like you said, Eddie. But the nice thing about those next gen cars is you're right. I mean, they're a lot more stable. We didn't really have to worry about the car getting light like it did with the Xfinity car, or like what was happening with the trucks on Friday, because that was a whole different dynamic on Friday as well with what those trucks were doing. So it was nice to be in a stable car and get out there and have some fun with those guys. And like Jamie said too, I mean, we had 41 guys take to
Mhm.
the track, which is wild. So that was an awesome showing for cruising classics and nasties. Then we went out there and gave it the best we had, and I think all of us came up pretty short on Wednesday night.
Yeah, Lucas Lyon takes the win there. He was
Yeah.
wrecked at one point, and actually, I think he had to take a fast repair, got back in it, and coming to the white flag, I think he was probably sixth or seventh. I think I want to have to go back and look just to be 100% sure, but he was pretty far back. And that next gen, just the way that things work, you're able to get those kind of runs. He was able to get it three wide finish at the start finish line. That was a Tuesday night was two cars side by side, and that was it. And then the next gen, it was just a big old field that finished that one up. So that series is one I got my eye on. I think there's a lot of names in there I see can be very competitive.
Mhm.
That I think will really put on some really good shows, and it's cool to have McConey doing that one. So next gen cars are you either love them or hate them. Some people hate the darn thing, and a lot of people just say love them. They're just different. So
Mhm.
yeah, so I thought that race was pretty good. Y'all, anything else from that race that kind of jumps out as something worth mentioning?
The only thing I would say, and we've talked about this in the past, that our thing with when you're a lap car and you're multiple laps down and it's getting late in the race, you should not be uh, interfering with lead lap cars coming into the end of the race. I understand we all want to race, try to get laps back and stuff, but when it gets inside of 10 laps to go and you're 6 laps down, you're not getting your laps back. And you should not be up in the middle of lead lap cars at that point. But I got taken out on that white flag lap because of a car that was 6 laps down. So wasn't real happy with that, and we need to make sure going forward that stuff doesn't happen anymore. So everybody that's listening, let's go back to what we've already put out multiple times. I'm pretty sure it's even in the rules that when your lap's down, do not interfere with the outcome of a race. It's that pretty much it's that simple. So,
Yeah.
but yeah, as far as the race went, I would say for the week, the 3 races I ran, the next gen car was definitely the best handling.
Oh, yeah.
At Dega out of the other two.
Mhm.
I lost internet connection early in the race, ended up going 2 laps down. Finally, I don't know, it was probably about 15 laps to go. I finally got the lucky dog to get back on the lead lap at that point. So, it was a whole race of just trying to get that lucky dog. And apparently, the word's out. Nobody's going to work with Goat Locker guys anymore. So, everybody just basically left me out to dry the whole race. So
Uh-oh.
that's cool. That's cool.
Oh.
We see it. We see it. So
Well,
that's
y'all,
fine.
it's y'all's fault for winning all the championships. I mean, it just is what it is. You set yourself atop. People want to knock you off. That's just the way it is.
Okay.
You set
Yeah.
you set a ball on a tee. Somebody wants to knock it off, and that's just what y'all are at this point. Y'all are winning all the championships.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
everybody's
I
coming
haven't
for
won
you.
one. I haven't won one. So, I ain't done nothing to nobody.
Yeah. Well, I thought the next gen race was pretty
Yeah.
entertaining. The finish was really really cool.
Yep.
So I thought it was a great way to start that one out. Now the Thursday race is the one that I'm most excited about now. The Thursday series, and I wanted to give some time to talk about this, which is the fact that there is now a pro and an amateur split. Now in a lot of GT3, there's a GT3 league that I run in that has a pro and amateur division. And so, talk a little bit about that decision. Whose was it? Did y'all talk about it internally? Was it hard to kind of come to an agreement? I'd love to hear your thoughts about the decision to have a pro division and an amateur within the same race.
That was
Yeah.
that was from you.
That's
You
true.
posted it about that league, and
Me?
Yeah.
yes, when you posted about that league, I figured that is finally the solution. We have been trying to figure out how we're going to have what we want to be
Yeah.
a entry level league. The problem is the ARCA car is so popular
Yeah.
that everybody wants to drive it, right? So how can we have an entry level giving people a chance when you got guys like I'm not criticizing anybody. I'm just saying you got guys like Andy Kurtz and Jake Ellingson and all these experienced dudes in there that are kicking the crap. I mean, Andy Kurtz won what 8 races last year, like 8 in a row, wasn't it? Something.
was
He had a
something
bounty
like
on him
that.
at one point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. So I mean, it's like this is supposed to be our beginner series, and they're these guys. I mean, that's got to be disheartening if you're saying, "Hey, I'm a beginner here, and now I'm getting the crap kicked out of me every week." So when you posted that about that other league, I'm like, that's the answer right there. You know, the other guys, the more experienced guys, can still run the ARCA car that they all love to do, and we can now give the more beginner drivers an opportunity to run for their own points championship.
Yeah.
You know?
And if you try, because y'all tried at one point to say, okay, you can't run this if you're this good or whatever,
Mhm.
and participation kind of falls off. So y'all have tried a couple different things, and I gotta say, it's such a weird thing. I love the idea, man. It's such a great idea and ballsy to try it, honestly, because I'm sure it's tough on the point side trying to figure out who's what, dealing with that after the race. But honestly, it's just such a great idea on y'all's point to pick that up, because it like you said, it gives the guys who are really really good, they can race for a championship, and then you've got this whole separate deal that hey, you've got your an amateur division to race for, man. And so you get the full field, everybody is happy, everybody gets to race like
Mhm.
they want to. And then hey, if you're a little bit new to iRacing, or if you're just not as good as some folks, you get a shot to race for something. In that GT3 league, I'm an amateur. So it's been awesome because I don't know anything about road course racing. If you've seen me on a road course, I don't know how to turn right at all. And so they put me in the amateur division. And it was awesome because I was racing against guys that were around my skill level. And I can tell you that it makes you feel really good when you go back and look. I mean, Matt Knights from this week, who won the amateur the side of it, he's got to feel awesome knowing that while he may not win the overall race, he was still the best of his division. And
Right.
man, what a great thing to keep you coming back. You don't feel disheartened. You don't feel like, oh, this is a mountain I can't climb. And so I thought
Mhm.
that, man, what a great idea. What do you think about it, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I can only just echo what Jamie said, man. We've been trying to figure out the ARCA series forever, and we did. We tried a couple different things. We said, hey, if you'd want to race in Goat Locker Racing or a championship, you can't run ARCA. Or we tried at one point in time like an I rating cap, and I rating's just not really a good gauge, because I rating just really depends on how many officials you go out there and race. And if you don't race a
Mhm.
whole lot of officials, your I rating's kind of just what it is. Or if you
Or you
do,
tank it. You tank your I
yeah.
rating so you can run in the lower division.
So, and man, and we really wanted something to where everybody could compete. That had been one of the things. We'd kind of heard some low murmurs and things and grumblings about why should I go out and race because I just can't compete week in and week out. And we're like, that's not what Go Locker Racing's about, man. We want everybody to have a chance at something. We want to sing the praises of everybody that comes out and races. And so, yeah, I mean, you could take all the credit in the world, Eddie. I mean, you put the stuff up in our Discord. JB's like, this is what we're doing. I'm like, this is amazing. I could do two, race winner graphics every week. We have a pro winner, we've got an AM winner, so they get the same type of attention. They're going to race for a trophy and a championship. The other guys are racing for trophies and championships. I'm like, this is awesome. This is absolutely awesome. And it's all thanks to Eddie Smith.
Well,
That's right.
when you have something new come out, like a new software or something, a new phone, new iPhone comes out. Hey, you've got a bunch of features that are really
Mhm.
cool, but then you got the one big feature that you put on top and sell it. I think for Goat Locker's fall series, besides all the great partners, moving all that out of the way, the Pro Am division is the top feature for this fall series. I really love the idea. I'm not because I posted the link because I didn't know that. I thought y'all just came up with it on your own,
No.
and I thought, man, why have nobody
Mm.
thought about that yet? And it's just a great idea. So kudos to y'all for doing that. And I think the
Well,
guys who will be racing in that will be super thrilled. I
yeah.
think it'll be great for participation too. So,
Yeah. And one of the coolest things from this entire week, that ARCA race was the best race of the
yep,
week,
Absolutely.
hands
yep,
down.
yeah.
That was an amazing race. My internet was out that whole day for some reason. I don't know what was going on. So I actually sat on my phone and just watched the entire race. That
Yep.
was an amazing race. Those guys put on one whale of a show. So I was super stoked to see that, and then yeah, the outcome of it. And yeah, I mean, there's some extra work on the back end of things. Sorting points and all the other stuff. Jake Ellingson's all over that, and taking care of it, and but it's well worth it, man. Too cool.
Yeah. Well, the 3-4 wide racing is what we saw there. I mean, that was
Yeah.
y'all are right. I mean, you got Dean and Jake up there of Nazareth 360 doing an incredible call, and there's somebody else in the booth, and I'm sorry the name is slipping my mind, but he does a great job too. Do y'all know who that is? Okay, all right, I put you on the spot. Anyway, I don't know who that is. We'll get his name, and
Oh,
I'll try to recover that.
Steve Bartlett.
Steve Bartlett, that's right. He does a great job. Really cool to see all that whole booth. It's pretty good. But yeah, 3-4 wide racing, and the one highlight that I wanted to kind of cover was Doug Ellingson up there leading the race 3-4 wide. He was up there leading
Mhm.
laps over and over again. Didn't end great for him. So bummer about that. But how cool was it up there? See Doug up there leading this race. He led multiple laps. It wasn't just one. He was up there for quite a while.
Yeah, I
So
mean that was cool. You know, eh, Everybody wants to root for the underdog.
Yeah.
Again, we always talk about the Ellingson family and all the things that they're doing, and all that kind of crazy stuff. And I mean, it's no secret around Goat Locker Racing that Doug's had his health issues, and so we're always rooting and cheering for him. Can't wait to see him on track. And there's been many a times, through the summer series and everything, we're just like, man, I can't wait for him to get healthy enough to get back on track. So we've all kind of watched that journey with the Ellingson family, and yeah, I mean, you couldn't help but have a giant grin on your face
Yeah.
to see that car up front, knowing that's the same thing that's happening in his house.
yeah.
That he's probably got Mama Ellingson behind him yelling at him, probably out of joy and telling him not to screw something up. But the man's up there leading laps, and there's nothing better for your soul than that right there. And I'm sure there was nothing better for his soul and all the things he's had to battle over the past few months to get out there and actually lead some laps at Dega. Yeah, I mean, that's too cool.
Yeah. Man, if he could have brought it home, that would have been pretty incredible. We're still waiting on that. It's coming. I feel like it's coming.
Oh,
He's
it
up
will.
there leading the race. It's definitely possible.
Mhm.
But yeah, so Mike George wins the race. He set on the pole. He won the pro, and Matt Knights or Matt Knighties, as I used to call him, wins the amateur division. So congratulations to both those guys. Like I said, that's the top feature for Goat Locker this season, and I think it's just so cool. And I wanted to kind of spend a little bit of time talking about that. But let's talk about Friday trucks, the Premier Series, and on paper, 8 caution for 24 laps, right in line with all the other series as far as cautions and stuff. But it sure did feel a little bit different. We had a custom fix setup that was probably made for a 100-degree track, and we roll off, and it's 136 degrees in Talladega, Alabama, virtually. Veterans for Life Racing was on that one. Um, and it was a good race, but you could tell there wasn't a lot of racing that you really could do. It just seemed like the truck just wasn't responding. Only two trucks could really get together. It just seems like because of the handling of the entry, how loose it was really tough to kind of mount any kind of third groove, really make any moves. Is that kind of what y'all felt, or what was y'all thoughts?
Yeah, that was another one of those. We found out in practice very, very quickly that if you were the truck behind and you were really sucked up to the truck in front of you, especially going into corner entry, it would just snap loose on you. You took the air off the nose of that truck, and again, it's a combination of the heat in the track and the high temperatures, some aero stuff. But if that truck had no air to its nose, it would just snap. Um, and so, yeah, I mean, really, we kind of put it out in the drivers' meeting before the race. What we discovered and said, hey, the best bet is probably to breathe it a little bit, going into the corner. That way, the truck doesn't step out from underneath you. But to tell some of these guys to take their foot off the pedal, um, you know, they just couldn't do it.
That's like you're telling
So
a bunch of Dales to lift and not
yeah,
go for three
Yeah.
wide. It's impossible.
I mean, you didn't even really have to lift. All you had to do was just crack it out of 100%. That
yeah,
was it. So I don't, the whole blaming the setup and stuff. Nah, the setup, that truck was fast, man. There was multiple times, I saw 195, 196 going into turn 3 in a truck. That truck was fast. Setup was good. You just had to crack that ever so slightly, let it get into the corner, and then you could get right back wide open, and it was going to be perfectly fine. It just some hard headed stuff, but you know I just think trucks there are kind of tough anyways because they punch such a big hole that it's really hard to lose a draft with the trucks. And then when you're side by side, you might get one line that's going to get a little bit of momentum going.
no,
Oh, we lost it. We lost you, Jamie. Uh
we might
oh,
have lost him completely.
Jamie, can you hear us? He's still talking. So I don't think hold on, let me
I
move
don't
him.
think
It was getting late
Oh,
he's
during the
back.
race. Uh-oh. What happened?
are you
You
back
left us
with
there
us?
for a little while.
Uh-oh.
Yeah,
Well,
either the sensors cut you out because you said a lot of bad words or what. I'm not real sure because you went completely silent for a while. So we're on a tape delay. So I think the sensor got you there. But yeah, I mean, yeah, I think everybody kind of saw that play out, and just, I
Yeah.
mean, and some, maybe some folks criticize the track temperature, but y'all don't pick that. Y'all, I mean, if it's 136 degrees when they hit the track at Talladega in real life, that's what they're running on, and so iRacing is set up a lot of times for realistic weather. And these summer months, these tracks are going to be boiling hot. It's for the premier truck series in Goat Locker, you have to make those adjustments as drivers to say, hey, look, we're gonna
Mhm.
adapt to what we're given here. Yeah, it might be a little bit loose, but you got to go with it. And so it took a lot to kind of reel folks back in, but it was definitely, you could definitely tell it was really loose. But yeah, so there at the end, Jeremy Garner got the win. Mike George pushed him all the way around on the white flag lap, never moved off his back bumper. He had already gotten a win on for the week. Talk a little bit about that decision. Do y'all like that kind of decision? Is that in y'all's wheelhouse if y'all are nose to tail, or do you like
Yeah,
the
I
idea of,
mean,
hey, let's go for the win? Let me try to get the win. What do you think about that decision just to push and not even try for the win there?
if Pat's in front of me, Pat's going to win the race, and unless something happens, I'm not leaving his bumper. Or Jake or Cody or Ryan. It doesn't matter. If there's a GLR guy in front of me, GLR is going to win that race. We're not going to do something that's going to take away from us just so that we can win. So, Mike George stuck with his teammate. Good on him. You know. Uh, Maybe if we had some more people around here doing that kind of stuff, but, racing would be a little bit better. If the, what I mean by that is, not being
Yeah,
selfish, but,
yeah,
so yeah, good on them. I mean, they didn't do anything different than what GLR guys would have done. Now, controlling two lines while that's going on, I don't know. That's something we're going to have to look at maybe going forward, but yeah, sticking on somebody's bumper, pushing your teammate to the win, all for it.
absolutely.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the same. And we've done it all the time, and I think it really speaks to what we stand for as Goat Locker Racing, is what we do as a small team. Um, we've done that. I can't count how many times. Where who's ever leading, they're leading. We don't really challenge that much or any of those types of things, and we we don't take the selfish route, I guess you will say. And I know there's been times I've been nervous in a race. It's coming down to the end of it or whatever the case may be, and I'm like, man, and then one of my teammates that's behind me is like, man, don't sweat it. You got
Yeah.
this thing. Go get it. And I think that that talks real highly about what we do, and it was cool to see that that Mike George kind of took that same thing on, pushed Jeremy Gardner to the win. Well, them and their 17 other teammates that were there controlling the whole race, but again, that's a different thing for a different time.
Ooh, I
Uh,
like this. This is
yeah,
this
yeah,
is some spicy stuff.
yeah.
Uh, yeah, go ahead.
No, 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 no. But that's what. I, Again, Jamie, kind of hit the nail on the head there, man. I love seeing that stuff,
Yeah,
man. Taking the selfless route and going, hey, it's more about the organization, the team, whatever the case may be. Or hey, maybe it's just a guy that hasn't won in a while, and you want to see him win. Not that Jeremy Garney doesn't win races; he wins a lot of races. But it was cool, man. It was super cool.
well, and if you make a decision, I'm gonna wait to the last 100 yards to pull out and try to make a pass. We'll race it out or whatever. And you see a lot of times that what that ends up with is you both losing it, and
Yep.
you feel like a ding dong at the end of the race
Uh-huh.
because you
Yep.
you ruined both of your races. So yeah, I like that as well. I like teammates helping each other, and a lot of times people get frustrated. That, well, why, man, he's racing me hard because he won't, and he's defending for his teammate. And I love to see that on track because I like Talladega Daytona because I like the teamwork aspect. I
Yeah.
like where you have to work together. If you get green flag pit stops, which we didn't have that many of this week, but if
Not a
you
single
get
one.
those, yeah, you have to work together.
Yeah.
And I love that part of. I don't love super speedway racing, but I love that part of it where you work as a team and usually the team wins because there are some guys who do money races of plate racing, and
Hmm.
that's what they do. They go out and run these money races. They're unbeatable. They're unbeatable. How well they work as a unit, and
Hmm.
it's a cool crossover. I'm sure to the military. I don't like making crossovers to the military because I wasn't in it, but it's when you have something that works as a football team where you're working
Hmm.
as a cohesive unit. You can make some real special things happen. So I thought that was really cool that he didn't make a move, didn't lose the race for both of them, and was able to push Jeremy to the win. So
Yeah.
I thought that race was pretty intriguing, especially because it was on V Speed. So I thought that was one of the best races
Yeah.
the week so far. But yeah,
Uh,
moving on to the Sunday truck. I mean, I say that in jest, but the Sunday series was pretty awesome. Neither one of y'all drove in it. Did any one of y'all catch it? Did y'all were you able to watch it?
Yeah, I didn't. I gotta be honest. I went and played golf yesterday, and it was like 95 degrees. And by the time we were back home and done, I was toast for the rest of the day. So I was probably actually in bed at like 9 o'clock yesterday. So don't really like to admit that, but I'm old now. So yeah,
mhm.
Hey,
that's,
you need
that's
a
how it
night
goes.
off, man. Take the night. That's
Well,
fine.
That was cool, man. I mean, Mike George got a hold of me and he's like, "Hey, I'd really like you to do the drivers meeting to kick off the Sunday series." So I jumped on and did the drivers meetings for those guys. And again, I was so excited about it. I was so excited to get it kicked off. I was so excited for InVets as a sponsor to be back and for a weekend series to get going. Now, give or take, I mean, how you look at it, it was probably not the best race of the week. Definitely had the most cautions and things along those lines, but I will also say the Sunday series has the most new drivers that we have in
Mhm.
any series. We've got a lot of guys that have just been waiting, like I was saying before, to race with Goat Locker Racing, and now they get to. And so I think there was a lot of excitement going into it. I think there was a lot of nerves going into it, and that kind of plays itself out on track a lot of times. But for those guys to get that series kicked off, to have that many drivers show up, maybe it wasn't the best race of the week. Oh well. They accomplished something really big within Goat Locker Racing to get that thing to go on a Sunday. So I'm super proud of those guys.
Yeah, and Brett Bieber getting a win. I mean
Yeah,
that when I
yeah.
saw that, I was like, man, that's really cool right there. He's a guy that's kind of just been part time around here. I believe his brother Travis is his brother, and Travis is a little more of a regular,
Mhm.
and Brett just kind of pops in when he can. So for him to get that win, that that was pretty cool.
Yeah, the teamwork was really on display in that series Sunday night. You could see all the teams working together, and then Brett kind of lost his team towards the end and just had a great run to the finish. It was a really exciting race. I went back and watched it. Like I said, Jeff McConey on the call. I can't remember who was in the booth, but they had a really good broadcast. I thought that was a good one and a very compelling race. And at the end, it was a great finish, another one. So man, all in all, I think Talladega week, while there are some things I need to work on, changing lane before the start finish line, paying attention to the setup, taking it a little bit easy. Don't be, that's all behind us now because
Mhm.
Talladega is going to be behind us. And so a lot of those problems will kind of solve themselves. And I look forward to getting into the different schedules. We're not going to go over that kind of stuff here tonight. We're out of time really already.
Mhm.
I've already taken up a couple, about 15 minutes more than of y'all's time that I meant to. But yeah, just a great season, great week so far. Looking forward to the season. The schedules look really good. Y'all put a lot of really, I think, intelligent thought into these schedules, and I think they're really interesting. I think there's a couple races, or at least one that has Darlington as the Final Four race, which I'm super excited about. I love that. Love that call. But so far, I mean, y'all have knocked it out of the park, y'all, and of course the everybody behind the scenes that has been putting in a lot of work. It so far, first week was a definite home run. Looking forward to next week and getting into the meat of the schedule. It's going to be exciting. All the partners that have come aboard, definitely appreciate all of those. But as far as anything else the week, anything that we didn't mention that y'all want to talk about, or did we leave anything on the table?
Man, I can't really think of anything off the top of my head, man. It just this is cool, man. This is the biggest season we've ever tried to put on, and again, like we were talking about the car show, it's absolutely nerve wracking. Coming into this week to watch it all launch. Like you were talking about, Eddie, 3 different media partners now, 5 different series, one running on a weekend at this point in time. New guys stepping up into the admin spots to help run things around here. You know, I don't think anybody will ever fully appreciate what it takes to put this all on. It's a lot. I mean, at the end of I mean, that's really all you can say. It's a lot. Not only is it getting the sponsors put together and all that stuff, it's building the schedules. Jake Ellingson sat down in front of his computer for like 4 hours one day and was loaded all 75 races. Like there's 75 races that are going to happen over the next few months, and then we had to go back and tell him to change all the next gen races.
Yeah.
Whoops. Sorry about that one, buddy. So he had to go back and change all those. There's just so much that goes into it that if anybody gets a chance just to sit down and think about, hey, just jump on iRacing today and go host a race. Go through the whole procedure of hosting a race. Now, do that times 75 And oh, by the way, do a bunch of sponsorship stuff and and all this other kind of craziness. And but man, it's all worth it.
And don't make a
So
mistake. Do 75 races and don't
right,
make one single mistake. Yeah, it's impossible. Yeah,
yeah, it is. It really is.
So, big shout out to Jake for doing that. These are those thankless jobs that nobody ever notices. Everybody complain
Mhm.
about, but they won't realize that hey, somebody took half their day to do this and
Yep.
get it prepared. So, a big shout out to Jake. Well, I've taken so much of y'all's time, Pat, Jamie. Always appreciate it. Super excited to have y'all on tonight. Love to talk about the nonprofit. Can't wait to continue to do more of that. But this podcast is going to continue each week. Without me going on vacation or somebody else taking the helm, we're gonna have some rotating guests. Pat and Jamie always welcome. I mean, they own the place; they can come anytime they want to. The doors, they own the key to the door; they can walk in anytime. But we'd like to get some more folks. We'd like to have some rotating hosts. We're going to keep it limited to 3. I know a lot of people may have been confused by that because in the past there's been sort of a panel deal, but we want to make it a little bit more personal, a little bit more intimate, lack of better word. I felt like I was really intimate with you guys tonight, so I appreciate y'all joining. But so we'd like to have somebody out there if you're a driver. We're gonna try to have some hosts in here that can talk about stuff, people, admins, and stuff that are a part of Goat Locker, the inner workings. But we'd love to have a third host each week that is a driver, maybe somebody that we don't know. We'd love to get to know you. That's what this podcast is going to be about, kind of putting each other out there. You might get aggravated at the guy whose paint scheme looks like this and number looks like this that raced you this way. But once you sit down and hear from and talk to him, man, it can really change your perspective on that person. And that goes a long way in building a community. So let's do that. We're going to do that. So I'm going to put feelers out each week, try to get somebody on, somebody that is showing up every week. Show up once or every 6 races. You're probably not going to ask you. Probably won't say yes, but those who are part of it every week, hey, we want to get to know you, and we appreciate y'all and everybody that watches. If you enjoyed it, let us know what we can do better. We're limited on time, but hey, if you want something, some idea, that would be really great. So a couple things I do want to mention. Somebody asked, how do you donate to Goat Locker? Well, you go to goatlockerracing.org. The link is in the chat. You can go to that website. It has all of Goat Locker's information. DJ Lyons, who actually does some producing, y'all hired him to build that website, and y'all have done a great job with him. It looks great. It's awesome. So if you have any ever questions about Goat Locker, that website is where you want to go, goatlockerracing.org. It's got a donation link, got about us, all about the different series. Everything is going to be on there, so definitely go check that out. And if you're looking to race, please come join the Discord, join one of the series, and come be a part of what's going to be something huge. You don't want to be trying to catch up as the train leaves the station and you go, man, I wish I would have been a part of it. Now it's too late. Now there's a waiting list a mile long. I can't get in there. Get in, be a part of it, be some hands and feet. That's what I say. Do something. Don't just join and take, give something back, be a part of this community. I think it's really awesome. So I'm really thrilled to be a part of it, and I appreciate y'all always including me in y'all's racing series whether it comes to broadcast or being able to race. I mean, the fact that I get paid to broadcast is because of y'all, and I don't think I say that enough. But if y'all wouldn't have brought me in there to one of those broadcasts, I wouldn't be broadcasting. I wouldn't be turning folks away because I'm literally out of time. Don't know having enough days to broadcast, and it's because of y'all. So y'all's work kind of goes beyond Goat Locker a lot of times. So can't appreciate Pat and Jamie enough. Really appreciate what y'all do. But we'll be back next week, talk about all the comings and goings with Goat Locker, talk about those past races, and we'll have some other folks on. Should be a lot of good time. So Pat, Jamie, appreciate y'all. Thank y'all so much. We took a little bit of extra time, but glad to have y'all on board for the first one. All right, guys, that's going to be it. We'll see y'all next week. Y'all have a good night. We're going to get out of here. See you later.
Thanks, Eddie.